Well, good afternoon and welcome to today's episode of Random Thoughts. I'm glad that you're with us today. Hey, today we're going to take episode number 4 out of our mini-series called The Practical Side of Christianity. Today we're going to start the process of looking at how we show our lives in relationship to other people. If you recall, the first 3 episodes had to do with our vertical relationship with God, how we honor Him, honor His name, and keep His Sabbath day holy. Today we're going to start looking at the vertical relationship between what do Christians do with other people. And we're going to look at that, and we'll start a process on this episode of Random Thoughts. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back to our episode here in Random Thoughts, the practical side of Christianity, part number 4. Part number 4 deals with our relationship with our parents and other authorities. As I mentioned previously in the opening, the first 3 commandments: you shall have no other God before me, you shall honor the name of the Lord your God and not misuse it, you shall honor the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. Okay, those 3 deal with our direct relationship with God. The next 7 deal with our relationship with each other. So, commandment number 4, honor your father and your mother. How does Luther describe this? What does he see and what that means? Well, let's take a look here. What does this mean? We should fear and love God so that we do not despise or anger our parents and other authorities, but honor them, serve them, and obey them, love and cherish them. Okay, so the responsibility of the parent, the responsibility of the child has to do with this particular commandment. The commandment helps us to also understand one other thing. As Moses writes what God said, honor your father and mother that it will go well with you in the land that you are about to live in. So he comes with a promise. And in Ephesians chapter 6, Paul picks up on that promise. And he says here in Ephesians chapter 6, we're going to look at verse 1 through 4. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with a promise, that it may go well with you and that you may enjoy long life on earth. Fathers, do not exasperate your children. Instead, bring them up in the training and instruction of the Lord. So we're dealing with both sides of the relationship here in the context of this commandment, the relationship of child to authority and authority to child. Let's look at it this way. The child is the responsibility of the authority. Okay, let's get out of the big words here. Children are the responsibility of taking care of children, the responsibility of the parents. Children respond to parents taking care of them. What does Paul mean when he uses the word exasperate? Exasperate means do not frustrate them, do not hinder them, do not overtly hurt them, do not patronize them, I guess could be thrown in that word. Do not be abusive to your children. So the Bible is really very clear that parents have a responsibility and are accountable to the raising up of their children, as well as the children have a responsibility and an accountability to their parents. It's a two-way street. It's a two-way street between people. One treats one fairly and rightly. The other one is treated fairly and rightly. And there is honor, and there is respect, and there is love and cherishment and the like. You know as well as I know, that doesn't always happen. Unfortunately, this commandment is broken a lot on both sides of the equation. It's not all children's fault. It's not all parents' fault. All parents are not victims. All children are not victims. It's a bad situation when it really does go bad. It's a great situation when it works. And how will it work better? That's a good question. Not how will it work well, how will it work better? It will work better, as Paul describes there in our passage, that parents treat them in the raising them up in the life of God. That's a responsibility that you parents have. Now, is your child going to ultimately respond to that? Yes and no. Sorry, we live in a very sometimes gray area called life. But the reality is, as you parent, as you child, live your life in relationship with each other, the goal and the necessity of all of this simply is honor, cherish, live up with one another. Honoring and cherishing has something to do with discipline and boundaries and accountabilities and responsibilities. And again, it's on both sides. But God is saying, parents, you're in the hierarchy scheme, you're here. Children, in the hierarchy scheme, you're here. Parents, take care of your kids by lifting them up and nurturing them and strengthening them. Because you know why? There's one other being in this hierarchy scheme that's even higher than parents and higher than other authorities. And that's God. And what did God do? He nurtured and cared for us by lifting us up in grace. He cares for us not by a top-down approach, not by a thumb-down kind of thing. That's not God. Never has been, never will be. God does not abide sin. He is very clear about sin, whether it's in the relationship of the world or whether it's in the relationship of the family. And really, if you read Ephesians 5 and 6, you get the rationale and the design for God's life and organization of life. Starts with this core little circle called husband, wife, with God wrapped in and around and all through the relationship. The next layer of this relationship, the next ripple in the pond, if you will, is the relationship of family, children, parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, etc. That's the second ring. It's still all based on love and nurture and respect. And then the third ring that goes on the outside is how do we deal with life on the outside? This is where our work relationships come into play. This is where our relationships within our governance can come into play. You heard me mention earlier about I didn't care for a particular person who is in leadership. Doesn't mean I don't respect him. And that's a great thing for all of us to remember. That we may not care for someone. We may not like a position that someone may take. That doesn't mean they are not worthy of the respect and honor that they are due because of the position that they are in. Like or dislike? Let me know. So, let's go back to the smaller circle, the family circle, when we talk about children honoring their parents. And oh, by the way, this goes to adult children with adult parents. And because that can go the opposite direction. For example, the generation in which I am in is also referred to the baby boomers. We're also referred to as the sandwich generation. We've raised our kids and we're caring for our parents. We're in the middle of this equation. And sometimes honoring our parents as a child is more challenging to honoring our parents as an adult. There are many adult children who are caring for their adult parents. The honor still goes forward because God has given you those parents. And in some cases now you're having to care for them versus they care for you. If you have any thoughts in that realm, also please let me know. I'd love to engage in this dialogue. I want to wrap up with this. We are in a position as both children and parents to be in a wonderful relationship with each other, and especially in relationship with God. We're not always doing the right thing. That's why God sent Jesus, in order to forgive us of our sins and give us a brand new life to start all over again and start a relationship over again. And I could go off on a sidebar on that point, but I'll stay right here. The point is, honoring parents, those in authority, is a thing that God calls us and wants us to do. And through faith and trust in God, it's not too bad, actually. All right, that's it for today. We'll see you Sunday morning. Palm Sunday, the Sunday of palm branches and the like, and it's going to be a wonderful celebration. Please join us in-house, 10:30 Palm Sunday, Sunday morning, and we'll celebrate the arrival of Jesus into Jerusalem to begin our celebration of Holy Week. More on all that coming up. We'll talk to you real soon. Have a good day. Bye-bye.